Hi, Gloria Donahue with Nana's Cookery, and welcome back to the kitchen. I love this apron. This apron came from, I love wonderful aprons. This came from Italy on a trip a few years ago. And if you look back to the video where you see this apron, I tell the story of the Chianti rooster, and it's a fun story. We're going to be making a cake. It's a chocolate chip cake. And mainly I bake from scratch. But there are a few cakes that I do with a mix, and usually for a reason. This one's a really good one. It's done in a 13 by 9 pan. When you make the cake, when it's done, you put some confectioner sugar and chocolate bits and grated chocolate on top. So it's a wonderful cake to take on a picnic in the summer, because if it melts a little bit, it's just a little bit of chocolate. It's not like a frosting going over the cake or anything. It's fine to take and leave out for a picnic. And it's just a wonderful light dessert. I have everything put together, so this will go together pretty quickly. It's all in one bowl. I've prepared my baking sheet, and that is lightly greased and floured. And make sure you tap out that flour, because you don't want excess flour in the pan. And the whole purpose of that is to make the release of the cake easier. Now, this particular cake, you're not going to turn out and turn over like you might for a layer cake. You're going to leave it in the pan, then you're going to put the coating on top, and then you're going to cut out of the pan. And you'll see that as we move along. It's a very simple recipe, and it does start with a cake mix. And it's yellow cake. This happens to have pudding in it, but it doesn't matter. I always add the pudding anyway, and it's fine. So it's one yellow cake mix. And I didn't find instant vanilla pudding, but I found instant white chocolate pudding. So I thought, well, that will work because it has chocolate in the cake. So I'm going to put that in, and that's one package, and that. Then a half a cup of, I use canola oil. You could also use corn oil, whatever vegetable oil you use. Put that in there. And a cup of water. And then we're going to put in 4 eggs. And you know my egg rule, I always break it first, because just last week I got a little piece of shell in. And if you get shell in, it's much easier to get it out if you use the eggshell itself to get out that little piece. The little jagged edge helps catch it. Then after we get these 4 eggs in there, we're going to let the mixer run for 2 or 3 minutes. So that's 4 eggs. 1 out of 4 wasn't bad. That's all in there. Now, don't do what I did on another recipe, where because there was oil in there and not creaming of butter, which of course is a solid, I turned the mixer on to fully. So if you look at the carrot cake recipe, you'll see I'm wearing a little bit of it. And while that's mixing, and we're going to let that go for a couple minutes, a lot of you know I collect tea towels. This one's from Sicily. I love to use them and to remember my trips, because I've traveled a lot. But a friend of mine gave me a very boring tea towel. It just has my zip code on it. So in our live presentation a few weeks ago, I said, tell me your name and your continent, and I've got a different color pen for each continent, and I will put it on this tea towel. But so far, this is what I've got. So please, when you comment, just give me your first name and your continent, and you'll go on my tea towel. And then we're going to add 2 more things. I grated a bar of sweet chocolate. That's German. It's called German sweet chocolate. So I grated a whole bar in my processor, and I'm going to use half in the cake and half on the top. It's going to call for 6 ounces of semi-sweet chocolate bits, different brands, and 3 ounces of it goes in the cake and 3 ounces of it goes on the top. So now we're going to add the chocolate bits and the grated chocolate. The other thing that's unusual about this cake is 95% of cakes are baked at 350. This particular one calls for being baked at 325 for about 40 minutes. But you also need to test the cake. It should press back lightly. It should be starting to come in from the sides. And if you use a cake tester, then it should come out without any batter in there. Also, when I put cake batter in a pan, It's much easier, I think, to sort of distribute it as you pour it rather than putting it all in one place and then trying to move it. Now this is a little easier because it's a very liquidy batter. We're going to put this in the oven. Again, it's at 340 for about 40 minutes, and I'll see you in a while. Well, our cake is out of the oven. It took a little longer today, and I did keep testing it, and now it does bounce back when I touch it. The sides are coming in, the outer sides, and I did stick a cake tester in there. And now we're going to finish it. And we're going to start with the 3 ounces of chocolate bits. Now I'm going to put them all over the cake, but I know from before, because the outside edges are a little lower, a lot of them are going to go towards there. So I'm going to try to stay more within the middle. And this is just done in order. First the chocolate bits, then a little 10x sugar, and then the German sweet chocolate. And then the cake will be done. It just cools and you can take it with you to wherever you're going. And as I said, it's particularly nice for a picnic in the summer because it does well in the heat, and you know a lot of cakes don't do well in the heat. So we're going to do 3 tablespoons of 10x sugar. And the easiest way probably to do this is, if it's 3 tablespoons, then with each tablespoon, try to cover about 1/3 of the cake. And that way you'll be pretty good with it. And what's going to happen is the cake is hot. So those chocolate bits are going to start to melt, and the sugar is going to kind of combine with them. And then we're going to finish it with the German chocolate bits. So you don't have to worry about doing an additional frosting or trimming or really anything. This is going to be the finished cake that you can serve in nice squares and take with you. Now, as I said, right now all these pieces are loose, but because the cake is hot, they're going to start to stick to each other and to the cake. I'm not going to lick my fingers because I'm on camera. Otherwise, I might. So nice to have you visit the kitchen. And my director wants me to do it. I think, no, I'm not going to. But I thank you for visiting. I hope everything you make and serve with love. Bye-bye.